Thank you everybody for joining in the Washington, D.C. area breakout room. We have two brief presentations, one from the local Chamber of Commerce, which supports interaction between Dutch and American companies as well as people, helps with networking and finding one's way when one lands here in the Washington, D.C. area. And then also one from Ruud Schipper, representing the embassy here in Washington, D.C. I'll briefly start with the presentation on NACCWM. It's a very brief presentation, so bear with me and then we'll go to the more interesting part. Please let me know if you can't see the main slide right now. Good, excellent, great. So, Netherlands American Chamber of Commerce here in the Washington metro area. We help indeed people landing here. We are a non-profit, non-governmental, non-political networking organization for both Dutch and American businesses and individuals with interest either in America or here in the Netherlands as well. We encourage and facilitate the transaction of business between both countries and promote the interest of our members. We cover an area between Richmond, Virginia to Washington, to Baltimore in Maryland. By the way, afterwards, there's a chance to let us know if you want any of the slide decks. We'll be happy to share them as well, including also the recording of this session. We have an annual program with a couple of events. Some of the events that we organize are in support of other organizations and events, including this event itself. And then we have our own programs as well. They can be webinars in time of COVID or in-person meetings somewhere in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And they can be around topics. These topics can be brought to the forefront by our members themselves. And they can be also brought to us by organizations and related nonprofit organizations that are interested to learn more about certain topics, either related to doing business in the Netherlands or doing business in the Washington, D.C. area. We by and large support small and medium-sized enterprises. However, it is not limited to that. And we cover anything from IT to biotechnology, financial services, government services, import and export, all the types of industries that are prevalent in the Washington, D.C. in the D.C. area. The types of memberships that we have, and this might be of interest, of course, for the audience as well, to become a member of the local Chamber of Commerce. We have individual memberships, we have student memberships, we have corporate memberships as well, and we have some support programs for our corporate sponsors and members as well. Networking over the past couple of years has been done largely through webinars. However, in the past, we have had a robust slate of networking events, some our own, some in support of the social organizations like DC Dutch, and some also in support of or in cohort with NIF and some of the other Dutch American-oriented organizations. We plan not to spam our members. However, there is almost a weekly email with an update on events coming up or in support of events that some of our sister organizations are doing, and they are quite informative. However, at the same time, our website is also full of the latest information of our own events and on sponsored events as well. By all means, feel free to reach out. My organizational email address is here at the bottom. Happy to pass that along later as well. And via LinkedIn, we can link in as well. Look forward to continue the conversation offline. With that, I'm going to stop my presentation. I'm going to load up Ruth's presentation, so bear with me for one brief second.
Lukt het hier allemaal, Frans?
Bijna. Mijn computer froze. Ik ga nu Ruud's presentatie aanzetten. So bear with me for one second.
Okay.
Great. Thanks so much. I think maybe you can even increase it in size a little bit. Or no, because we can still see all the extra bars on top. If not, I guess it will work.
Yep, I'll do that.
Yeah, thanks so much. So thank you, everybody. I don't know if I'm still in view. It's always a little weird to speak when I don't see who is looking at me. But I am the deputy head of the economic department in the team presided over by Bart van Bolhuis, who did the plenary talk. I wanted to show you and take you through a couple of slides to show you who we are in the embassy doing the action, showing what the Dutch family of enterprises can mean for the US. And so maybe take us to the next slide, please, Frans. Is that working? Because I made a PDF out of it. I'm sorry if I messed things up that way.
It's a conjoined error. My computer is coming to a crawl, and I apologize for that. But you should be seeing the second slide now.
Okay, I guess that happens. So I wanted just to show you, first of all, the new cabinet, which we are pretty excited about because finally we will get some new assignments by our new ministers who most of you with a Dutch background know. So it's former Finance Minister Hoekstra and Mrs. Schrijnemacher, who will be here to increase foreign trade. And then at the Economic Affairs, we have Minister Mickey Adriaansens, a lady who was a former senator. And then we have Rob Jette and Secretary of State's Veilbrief to deal with climate, energy, and mining. And if you take us to the next slide, you'll see everybody in the economic section. So it's Bart and myself presiding over a team in which we have Philip Strick, Michael McKeon, Esther Smith, Vincent Kooijman, and with support by Pim de Recht. And please go ahead and show us the next slide. We work very closely with the other members in our economic family. Marianne Vaas, who is the Agriculture Minister, Take Manning, who leads the Innovation Network with a team spread out over the economic clusters and the other consulates general. Then we have Henny Jacobs, who is promoting American foreign direct investment into the Netherlands. Then we have Lieske Streefkerk, who's working on mobility and circular economy and cycling, and as well as sports and water, everything that has to do with climate adaptation and waterways. And then there's Edwin van Maarseveen, who is with us from the Department for Life Science and Health, Welfare and Sports. And finally, we have Jelle Tjerkstra, who is here from the Ministry of Finance, dealing with access to finance and fiscal matters. So that is a backdrop so we know who we are. And this is basically what we're here for. Investment promotion and trade promotion. And as you can see, even though the Dutch are small, in economic terms, we're pretty big. We are always in the top 5 of import from the US, export to the US, and investment into the US. And The US runs a positive trade deficit with the Netherlands, which leads to a very nice amount of jobs supported. Altogether, we boast about 855,000 US jobs supported by economic ties with the Netherlands. So these are direct jobs and indirect jobs supported with economic activity, which is very substantial and only increasing due to what Bart and the ambassador were just saying, is that we are actually thriving despite the difficult COVID circumstances. Let's take us to the next slide. I'll briefly show you, and I think we can skip this one because it's not very well visible, but this was an overview of the Consulates General and the embassy in our working domain. And Bart, when he was talking about all the activities for next year, he was going over these sectoral topics, which is kind of our compass for multi-annual programming of the Dutch organized enterprise into the US with missions and projects. And now when we click to the next slide, please. Besides the immediate trade and investment promotion, well, we also work in programs. And so Holland on the Hill is our flagship program, if you will, in which we organize goodwill amongst representatives and senators on Capitol Hill, and where we work together with some of the larger corporates, Dutch corporates that have a footprint here in the US. And we get people together and we organize events that sometimes have a festive character, but they're not just for show. They have a very serious content to them. And please go ahead and glance over to the next slide. So these annual events, one of the most recent ones is the Anne Frank Award in celebration of the Dutch support for freedom and anti-Semitism. I mean, beating anti-Semitism, beating racism. And this was a very nice award, very well attended by senior members on Capitol Hill, including Nancy Pelosi, getting a lot of exposure to what Netherlands stands for. And of course, that helps furthering our business interests as well. Other events that we organize under this flag of Holland on the Hill are the Tulip receptions and the Heineken Award, which is coming up. And unfortunately, we could not do the end of year reception, which would have taken place this week, but maybe with better luck, we will figure out something else to do later on this year. And we also organize topical sessions. I mentioned a couple of topics in which we pull together members of the Dutch enterprise, members of the Dutch science, and their counterparts in the US. They're very well attended. We also do a quarterly newsletter. So all of this helps to keep the Netherlands on the radar screen here in the US. Let's go to the next slide. Besides immediate trade and investment promotion bilaterally, we also seek out all the financing opportunities that come from the international financial institutions, two of which feature prominently here in Washington. And let's go over to the next slide, because it's not so important how the IDB and World Bank are organized and how much funding they provide to other countries. But what is really on our to-do list is how to delve into those financial opportunities for Dutch enterprise. And so we have two team members in our team that were highlighted in the beginning. So it's Esther Smith and Vincent Kooijman, who are constantly in touch with the leadership of the IFIs in our permanent Dutch representation there to make sure that we can actually make the Dutch enterprise community aware of financing opportunities. And very briefly, because I want to allow for questions and answers. This was my final slide. In the very last slide, if you want to show it, Frans, I have indicated our website, nlintheusa.com. Please take a look at it. We take great effort in adding valuable information under the economic ties subtab, but you'll see it once you get to the nlintheusa.com website. And our team's email address, please feel free to use it and ask me any questions you want on business promotion and business opportunities bilaterally. So with that, let's look each other in the eye once more and see if there's any things you want to talk about, including maybe who you are, what your business is, and how you view 2022. I think we got a mixed message on people being bullish on return on investment and maybe a positive outlook on the next year. But in terms of impact on their operation, I think we got a lot of, mediocre to pretty bad in the poll. So I'd be happy to hear from you, what you experienced and how you see the future. And then finally, of course, is there anything that the Dutch can do for you? So I'm curious to see who everybody is. I see somebody by the name of Mr. Boylan from the Dulles Chamber. Just out of curiosity, may I invite you to tell me what the Dulles Chamber is and what you do?
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So the Dulles Chamber is right by the Dulles Airport in Northern Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., for those that aren't familiar with it. And because the Dulles Airport is often the gateway to Washington, D.C. for international travel, we're set up to have quite a few folks that are conversant in international affairs. Myself, I'm a retired Air Force. I worked Air Force International Affairs with technology transfers, export controls, and then worked for 10 years for a government relations firm, Cassidy and Associates, where I did international business for them. And I now lead the chamber and started an international committee where one of our first groups were the very folks here from the Netherlands. And I see some familiar faces, especially Jatinder. So, but we literally did and have been working with folks around the world. We've excluded the North and South Pole, not much business there, but we've worked with many of the countries and do recurring events, because the way to do business is get to know others. And so because we can't get on an airplane, shake hands or share a meal, this is it. And so I thought it was really valuable that I came, and I really appreciate the invitation and look forward to working with folks in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the beginning of this morning, I was on the phone with some people in the Office for Virginia Trade Promotion and Acquisition. So we were talking about what other sub-regional, organizations exist. So it's just happenstance that I should be in a meeting with you now. So how many members does your chamber have?
We have 540 members. And so if you look at the technology corridor along 28, a lot of defense, intelligence, space. And if you're not familiar with the data centers, we probably do close to 70% of the entire US's internet traffic through the data centers located throughout the Dulles region.
I'm happy to follow up with you bilaterally and learn more about what Dutch companies you have in your clientele and how we may best work together.
Absolutely.
I know that there's a group of Dutch companies in cybersecurity solutions that also want to delve into opportunities here. So that's probably something you could help me out on.
Absolutely.
So Jatinder, since John mentioned your name, may I give the floor to you? And I'm just curious, and I hope that this is a way that is interesting to the other people in the audience, because I mean, I'm just looking, I'm just trying something here. I guess establishing a virtual network reception. But if not, then please just, take the floor and or raise your hand, because Frans is moderating this session. But Jatinder, since your name was mentioned, would you please introduce yourself to me, and curious to learn where you work.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. It's nice to see familiar faces on the screen, first of all. I'm Jatinder Khosla. I work with the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. So Fairfax County is a county in Northern Virginia, the biggest probably in the region, with about 1.3 million people at this point, and about 15 Dutch companies in the county. So my work is primarily associated with helping companies from continental Europe to establish a presence in Fairfax County. We have an office in Berlin that I oversee for continental Europe. I travel quite a bit to the Netherlands. Actually, we've done events in The Hague. Very familiar with our partners at Innovation Quarter, and have also partnered on events over here, and hosted some Dutch delegations as well, which is what John was referring to very clearly in his remarks. Right now, I serve on the board of the Netherlands America Chamber of Commerce of the Washington Metro, with these fine gentlemen, Frans and Martin, that I see on the screen. And so from a business perspective, I can say that we are working with prospects from the Netherlands that are very eager to travel here and very eager to just get going. Luckily, from the professional technical services sector, they have been able to set up virtual presences, but they really want to travel here in person. And that's exactly where sort of our services come in. We do not charge for any of our services. We're funded by local tax dollars. We're not a chamber of commerce. Our mission in life basically is to help companies set up successfully here. So with that, I'll give the floor back to you, Ruth.
Okay, thank you so much. Looking forward to following up with you, Valerie.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
I saw that Robert Tobiasen raised his hand. He wanted to ask a question.
Thank you very much. I'm currently with the National Association of Beverage Importers, a DC trade association representing importers of distilled spirits, wine, and beer. Two of my members are Lucas Bols and Heineken, so I have an interest in your country. I've been in this position about 3 years, a little bit longer. I'm president of the association. Prior to that, I had a 34-year career with the U.S. Treasury Department as a tax lawyer, regulating alcohol and tobacco industries, taxation, licensing, imports, exports, and the like, and retired as chief counsel of TTB in 2012. I've in the past worked with Caroline Fattel, who was at the embassy in Philippi, but that was all pre-COVID. I've had virtually no contacts with the embassy since then. My question really relates to the meltdown in the global supply chain. I know the port of Rotterdam is an exceptionally important port in Europe. I've been, on behalf of my members, following activities at the ports of Los Angeles, LA, New York, New Jersey, Savannah, etc. And I'm curious, if you will, kind of lessons learned from the port of Rotterdam. I'm realizing, I don't know if you have the game of whack-a-mole in Europe, in an arcade where you have 12 holes and a mole comes up.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, I consider the global supply chain meltdown to be a global game of whack-a-mole, because you hit it here and okay, I got enough containers, but I don't have ship availability, or I hit it here and I resolved the canceled sailings, but I can't get truckers at the port to pick up my goods or trains to load them because there are 25 miles of trains waiting to get into the terminal in Chicago. And so they're not taking any more trains to Chicago. I mean, I'm assuming all of the headaches that I'm dealing with for my members here, you probably are dealing with companies in Europe on many of the same issues. If not, I'd love to know what your secret is. But I just trying to figure out, are there ways to cooperate on some of these supply chain disruptions?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Of course, it's a very topical issue, and one of which I talk about a lot, whether it's at work or whether it's with family and friends, including under the Christmas tree. Because it's really the $1 million question, right? Like, what is the best thing to do? I noticed before when we were still plenary that Anja Elverding was amongst us, and she's not in our breakout room, but she's a lady that we know well. She's a logistics freight forwarder specialist who was recently assigned by the Port of Rotterdam to be their permanent representative here. So yeah, look her up on LinkedIn, or if you can't find her, I'll be happy to help you establish contact with her. Elverding, Elverding. I know that the White House looks at the Port of Rotterdam as best practice. There's a lot of things that we do right, including digitization, including automation in offloading container ships, on the basis of which it can be a 24/7 operation. I mean, we all read in the papers what the sticky issues are in the functioning of the ports over on the West Coast. Is that it's not so much people not wanting to work, but lots of regulations and lots of things that just don't match. So I think a lot, well, I mean, I think the solution to the problem in ports operation is very much people working together. And from what we understand, the White House is doing a pretty good job putting everybody who has a say and a role in that in one room and basically locking them up and not letting them out until they come up with a solution to work together. But there's a lot of things that need to happen. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that that it will go better. Yeah, so I think basically it's technology, but also rules and regulations and people working together, and just takes a lot of dialogue.
Sure. Well, thank you for that, Ruth. I did send you a chat message with my contact information, Great. So maybe we can stay in touch a bit.
Absolutely.
And what I'm finding in the U.S. at the ports is there's no one owner of the issue, no one person in control. For instance, at the Port of LA, the port is set up by the County of Los Angeles. So there's the executive director representing the county. There's U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They're handling one issue, but the executive director has no authority over them, and they have no authority over the executive director. There are the terminal owners, which are long-term lessees, and no one can really tell them what to do. Yeah. And then finally, there are the shipping companies themselves. Right. And so you have four independent entities. And there's in the US, there's no one person, one job directing all four of those entities. And I don't know if you confront the same issue in Europe at ports, or if it's more
we do, but what sets us apart, and of course it helps that we're such a small country and we've had to work with each other for years and years and years, not only because our economic safety depends on it, but sometimes also literally our survival against forces of nature depends on it. So the Polder model, getting people together and working together, is in our DNA. And I think that I wish it upon you in the US to kind of learn the same lessons and work together. And with sticky issues like this, sometimes with so many parties involved, I think you need a benevolent dictator, if you will. So by figure of speech, I think the White House is taking on that role. And I hope that something good comes out of it.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to continue. We have worked with the task force and some others at the White House. I guess this finally, I reside in Fairfax County. It is a great place to live. They have wonderful schools. I highly recommend it as a location. And I'm not being paid by my county to say that. Thank you.
Very nice. Well, Virginia is for lovers. Anybody else who would like to put a topic up for discussion?
Any other questions for the embassy or the economic department? Or for the chamber, for that matter? That's welcome too.
If not, maybe Martin, would you like to do a round, because there's not that many people in the group, and maybe have people introduce themselves? I mean,
Sure.
just out of curiosity, we heard from some people, but of course it's interesting to hear why people would choose this particular breakout group. For instance, Hans or Sunit or Amber, would you like to comment?
I'm happy to. Thank you, Ruth. I really appreciate it. And this was a nice little gathering, actually. It's timely as well with the new government coming into place. Just like in the United States, when a government's rolling out, it becomes a lame duck situation, right? And nothing gets really done for a long time. So I can sense the enthusiasm. Let's see, how far back do I go?
Well, first of all, please, would you remind me what your organization is or your affiliation?
Sure. I am a practicing attorney. Before all of you turn your cameras off and leave the session, I'm not an ambulance chaser. I work on the side where everybody's typically happy. The reason I'm part of the chamber with Martin and Franz is because I assist Dutch companies, typically small ones, that are interested in setting up shop in the United States. So everything from getting them an LLC or incorporating their corporation, setting up tax documents, setting up corporate shells, those little things that need to get done before you can actually conduct business in the United States. With my own hands, I am an intellectual property attorney on patents. So I assist technology companies around the globe obtain and assert their patent rights on inventions and technologies that they produce. And it was really that aspect that allowed me to spend a wonderful year in Den Haag in Holland. Yeah.
Great.
So that was because a large part of my practice then and now is from Dutch companies that, again, have inventions there and wish to protect those rights in the United States. And that's where I come in. And pre-COVID. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Just like Robert, I always like telling people that I represent Heineken, for example, one of the oldest professions in the world, but still innovative, and then getting patents for them in the United States. It's sometimes it gets people to scratch their heads, but it gets me.
Yeah. Very nice, Sunit. And where in The Hague did you do that? What was it, just an exchange or a year of working there? Yeah,
so I'm a U.S. attorney. I work from the law firm Foley and Lardner from the Washington, D.C. office, and that's why I'm with the in this breakout group. I also live in Bethesda, Maryland. Used to live, before I went to Holland, many years down in the district. When I was there, you might think of it as a secondment with a Dutch patent law boutique.
Okay.
The Netherlands Bureau.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
By NLO.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Yeah. So now I go back. Well, it's been a shame. Like a lot of us haven't been able to travel for 2 years now. But I go back not as often as Martin, but maybe half as often. Every 3 or 4 months, try to get over there and maintain their relationships and strike up new ones as well.
Okay. Maybe I can, I don't know if you already know Jochem, but I see that Jochem has put his camera off, but Jochem Dousie is also new in the US and is a lawyer registered with the bar. So maybe interesting for you guys to meet each other, maybe offline.
Thanks, Gert.
Great.
Just as suggested. I don't know, Martin, should we continue on? Give people the opportunity to briefly introduce themselves?
I saw Hans, Udo. Maybe Hans, do you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. How is the sound? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Great, great. So I'm an investment analyst with the International Finance Corporation. I am, I guess, just here because I said I got enough link and the event sounded awesome. I don't even live in the US. I'm sorry. I don't live in the Netherlands.
Where do you live,
either.
Hans?
I live in Egypt, but I'm due to move to Amman, Jordan. I'm being restationed per February. But I work for the Middle East.
That's great. Actually, we have a very good friend who just moved from the embassy to Amman, Jordan, working on the Dutch sustainable energy and climate portfolio. So if you continue working for IFC, might be interesting for you to get in touch with him by the name
Absolutely.
of Jacob Waslander. And he and I worked together in the World Bank before. We were both in the executive director's office. So that's Waslander.
Well, I guessed it right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that because I don't have any let's say business purposes to be on this call. I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, but you know, sometimes you don't have, but I can think of some things. Like if you're an investment analyst working on IFC's portfolio, we're very interested to see where IFC is going to invest in, and if we can actually get that information in front of some of the Dutch companies to see if that's opportunistic for them.
Understood. Well, they are all published, but that is post-disbursement. So I guess you'd rather hear about them before the fact. But I'm not sure what the disclosure policies around that are.
Yeah, well, we'll
out.
follow up bilaterally. I'll know where to find you now, Hans.
Okay.
That's good. And are you a Dutch national or I don't even or German?
I'm a Dutch national. Yes, absolutely. I'm actually in the Netherlands at the moment in Hoogezand, of all places.
Ah, nice. Well, welcome. So it's late for you.
It's quite late. Yes.
Well, welcome to our party then. It's a good party time. Martin, do you want to give somebody else the floor?
Sure. Who do I see? Laura from NAF. I see you on the call. You want to introduce yourself, Laura?
Yeah, hi, Laura Zylstra. I work for the NAF, and we're obviously a partner organization. As you can tell by this outrageous accent, I am American, and the misspelling of my last name and probably mispronunciation, but that's how us Dutch Americans roll. So I'm originally born and raised in Michigan, and then moved to the East Coast after college, been out here ever since. I live in DC. Actually, I live on a boat. This is my home office down at the wharf at the Capitol Yacht Club. So please, if you're ever down this way and it is safe to do so, give me a call. Well, not now because my boat's wrapped in plastic and it's freezing cold outside, but we have a club and always happy to see people and, get together watching the sunset, that kind of thing. So happy to be
Lara, that is so nice to suggest that. I will definitely take you up for it because it's such a nice thing to be living on a houseboat. And I've yet to visit the wharf. So I may very well take you up on that offer. Thanks.
No, absolutely. And I have been, my husband and I have been living aboard. This is our second boat, but we've been down here. I'll be 12 years next month, February. So
that's impressive.
I lived through phase 1. We are now living through phase 2 of the development, and it's interesting to be down here. But anyway, sorry to get off topic into the personal things, but it is after 5, so I guess that's where my mind wanders.
Right.
Yeah, just excited to be on this call, seeing human faces and meeting some new faces, and just excited about all the different things happening and very optimistic for 2022.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. Who else do we have on the call? I see Emma Nelson.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm actually a student. I'm an undergraduate student at Baylor University. I'm here because I won the Netherlands America Foundation Essay Challenge. And so I received an invite to like all of the membership events, and I'm just really interested in what the NAF is doing. And so I'm really just happy to be here and learn from everybody. So
nice, Emma. What was your essay about?
it was about global food insecurity and a unique way to combat that.
That's really interesting. Well, you know what? If you're ever interested, I'd be happy to connect you with our co-workers in the agriculture team who are working on sustainable food systems. And it's maybe a little far-fetched, but we actually see that there's like pockets of food poverty in the US that we would love to tap into the Dutch food knowledge on sustainable food. And so there's a big project in the state of Kentucky that we're helping. So if you're interested, I'm happy to set you up, and maybe we can show you around at some point.
That's awesome. That's perfect. I'm in Southern Ohio right now, so.
Oh, great.
I'm from Southern Ohio, so I'm home for break from school. Yeah.
Ah, nice. Well, nice to meet you. Well, let's stay in touch after this. Send me an email via this web email address that I showed you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Amber, are you still there?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
So I chose this group because in October I started working for Transamerica. We're based here in Washington, D.C., but our parent company is Aegon, and we have lots of colleagues in The Hague. And so this webinar has been so helpful. The outline of the embassy and what everything you guys do and NAF has been very helpful.
Great, Amber. A while ago, I met with some of the people in your organization, with Bart van Bolhuis and Philip Strick, let's say to get to know each other a little bit better as members in the Holland on the Hill team. So it's really nice to working with you all.
Great.
Thank you. Is Maurice still there? I think he's also from the same company, right?
Hi there. I'm sorry. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, Amber did a really nice job. She's one of my colleagues here in the DC office. And I dialed in and chose this group one because top of the year, and I thought it was really, really helpful to hear your overview, especially since your new government was just sworn in yesterday, which has been exciting to see all of the senior level cabinets, and the overview at the top of the call was very helpful. So congrats on getting a government. It's been some time. And,
yeah.
Congratulations on that. You beat Belgium.
I guess so. Yeah.
And Franz, very nice to see you. So Franz is a fellow father. Our daughters attend the same school here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So we see each other often at drop off or pick up. And I saw you on the screen just now and I was like, hey, that's great. So I didn't know you were.
That's funny. So is that the BCC or are you not there yet?
Yeah, that's a BSS. Yeah.
Oh, the BCC.
No, what am I saying?
Is it elementary or middle or high?
No, it goes all the way through 8th grade. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Blessed Sacrament School.
There you go.
Yeah.
I remember that school.
Anyhow, if I were to, I guess if I were to have a question, I guess there's some interest, obviously, now that the government has taken shape with regard to possible state delegation visits, whether it's Ruta for a state visit. Will the White House host a state visit? That would be fabulous. If not, any somewhat similar delegations. I understand there may be one coming to Texas next month in February if COVID doesn't prevail.
Yeah, well, we're keeping our fingers crossed on that, and it's not officially, there's no official notification one way or the other. So, but yeah, I mean, with the new government coming in, obviously we expect very many visits. And we were very bullish at the beginning of the year until Omicron kind of got to us. So now we're just riding this one out and see when we can start working with each other. The other way around, there's also going to be a visit of the say the climate conservatives, I think, to the US, to the Netherlands. And so it's a political delegation who will be visiting, I think, Rotterdam, the Rotterdam area, and also to see what climate solutions are happening in the immediate vicinity of Rotterdam. So yeah, lots of good ideas. Also, the new government very much is going to invest more in sustainable climate solutions. I was online and I saw that maybe the EU taxonomy is going to be the worldwide standard. So, I mean, green finance, green climate solutions, so many opportunities to work on and to follow.
Thank you. Is the delegation you mentioned, Ruth, to visit Rotterdam, is that a congressional federal delegation?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go through my notes and I'll send you an email on that.
Sounds good. Otherwise, thank you so much. Nice to see you, and thanks for hosting this.
Yeah, nice to see you again, Maurice.
Cheers.
Thank you. Jochem, I see Jochem is on the call. You want to introduce yourself, Jochem?
Yeah, sure. So me and my wife, we moved to Washington about a year ago. My wife works at the embassy. And I'm a lawyer, and like Rut said, I'm admitted both in the Netherlands and in the United States, in New York. And I work for a Dutch law firm, setting up some business here in the United States. The name of the law firm is Wijn & Staal. It's a law firm of about 50 lawyers in the Netherlands, and so we help both Dutch companies going to the US with their legal issues, and Americans coming to the Netherlands. So I'm happy to help anyone who needs legal advice. Yeah, nice to be here in the call.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. I think is Bertus Meijns on the call? I haven't heard him yet. No, I don't think he is. He's logged in, but I don't see any reaction. So I think we've introduced everybody here.
Yeah.
If Frans, do you want to say something about the next event of the chamber?
Yeah, absolutely. So indeed, as the chamber, can you hear me? I see that I'm freezing up. Good. It's just on my side then. So we have actually the next event for the local chamber we have coming up on the 27th of this month. Ties a little bit into what was mentioned. It's about ag tech, bringing Dutch agricultural technology to America, introducing it to opportunities here in the US, exploring how different states and organizations in the US help Dutch companies establish themselves and enter the market space. And the information on that is on our website. And I think it ties in perfectly with many of the topics that we discussed here today. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks, Frans. If there's nothing else, then I would just like to thank Ruth.
Sure.
What do we say your name in English anyway?
Ruth in English or Ruth in Nederlands?
Okay, we'll do Ruth. Thanks for your participation and everybody else as well. And I hope you enjoy the new year.
Thanks, everybody. It's nice to meet you.
Nice meeting everybody, and until the next time, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.
Stay healthy. Bye.
Bye.